गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। At the outset, it's very nice to be back in my own place doing what I have to do and not, all that. But let me tell you something. I picked this topic up. India, Japan can, a cooperation with Japan can kill two birds with one stone, USA and China. You know, a couple of days back, I was having dinner with one of my unit officers and I was discussing with his daughter. Her name is Sumedha Grover. And we were discussing this, and she came up with this great formulation. She said, "Look, why can't India and Japan get together, expand their cooperation, in all this?" And she kept coming back with a lot of logic. I thought that was fantastic. I thought over it. Uh, she, of course, was looking at it more from a trade, culture, and all those points of view. But I put on my geopolitical hat and I said, look, there's value in what this young lady, schooled me about. Let me, it's no harm learning from young people these days. It's good. So there I went, did some research, did something, and that's what I'm going to present to you. Yeah, at the outset, India and Japan have great ties. India and Japan don't have great ties with China, of course, at different levels. And India and Japan are partners oblique allies to USA, but both are having problems with them. So it actually fits a lot of things. A lot of things fall in place, right? With this whole formulation of India and Japan, it creates a lot of leverages. It creates leverages against China. It creates leverages against USA also. So then I said, let me delve into this and let's go ahead. Okay. First thing, let's look at the fundamentals of the India-Japan equation. Japan is one country with where we have a special strategic and global partnership. And this is rooted in historical and cultural ties. Buddhism is a significant connect. This is not what India says. This is what Japan says. Japan takes a lot of pride in this Buddhist connect with India. They take talk of shared values, democracy, human rights, rule of the law. There is a India-Japan Act East Forum, and it was established in 2017, and it's functioning very well. There is civil nuclear cooperation. There is defense cooperation, which is increasing. There is a India-Japan comprehensive economic partnership, which has started. It's not new. Everything is old. It's all. The bilateral trade between the two is 22.85 billion. It's not less. But by global standards, it's less. We need to increase more. The traffic from Japan to India is 17 odd billion, and from us to Japan is about 5 billion. We know Japan has invested in India, the Toyotas, the Marutis, and a whole lot of things. Dahistu, Samsung. Not Samsung, Samsung is Korean. Right. Electrical equipment, telecom, chemicals, finance, pharmaceutical sectors. Everywhere Japan has invested in it. So why not, leverage all this? Yeah. Now let me put it in the geopolitical context. See, and the historical context also. Japan and India have always had good relations. Even during, just after the World War, everything, fantastic relation. No problems. In fact, at the times when our economy was tanking and completely down and out, Japan stood by us. And Japan has been a good friend of India through history. On that, let's not have any doubts. But Something changed this equation and took it to a next higher level in 2004. I keep going back to that because in 2004 tsunami, what did we see? We saw that, I mean, a lot of countries were affected in the 2004 tsunami, including Japan. Including Japan. The tsunami was so powerful, it went across the Pacific Ocean. So, what did we see? It was felt that the American Navy, which was the biggest in that area, would help people, yeah, wo, all that. And in this entire Indo Pacific, it didn't happen. It was the Indian Navy which matched the American Navy in reaching out to people and rescuing them in the Indian Ocean littoral. The US Navy kept to the Pacific littoral, and there was a new found equation which came in. That was the time when Shinzo Abe and a lot of people woke up and said, look, mind you, 2004 tsunami, India was very badly affected. We were badly affected, whether in Chennai, Tuticorin, everywhere. He said, look, this is a country which has been affected by the tsunami. Everyone has written it off. And here is its navy which has gone out. And, it is helping people out. It has reached out to people where the US Navy could not. Everyone thought the US Navy will, is manna from heaven and, it will help everyone out. It couldn't. And all small navies naturally couldn't. I mean, there are hardly any navies. Significantly, everyone saw that the Chinese Navy, which was quite significant even then, did not leave Shanghai port or wherever their port, Hainan, they did not. They did not step out. That was when it was Shinzo Abe who said, look, we have to reassess India completely. And that was a time when US, Japan, I mean, China was also taking off, and the Chinese threat was on the horizon. Everyone saw it. It was not new. So Shinzo Abe said, look, we have to think of India differently. In 2007, he came to India. He came to India and he spoke to a joint session of parliament in India. It was a speech called the Confluence of the Two Seas. This is this is from the Ministry of Japanese Affairs, Foreign Affairs, Japan. And he spoke of this. He spoke of this confluence of two seas to everyone. And this was actually, if you go back in time, this is the start of the concept of Indo-Pacific. Start point. And he said, look, in this speech, if you go read it, the broad point he makes is it's time that India steps into the global architecture as a big player. He recognized this potential. And from then, things have changed. Things have changed. And the India-Japan equation has gone miles ahead. Well, for some time, mind you, this is also a time when in the China-India equation was pretty good. The US-India equation was just about coming out of, getting the strategic partnership was coming. Well, when the Quad idea came up at that point of time, China objected to it. The moment China objected to it, Australia and India stepped back because we had good equations, even Australia. In fact, it was Australia who did the Quad to start with. They had this prime minister who's now in charge in the Asia Society. I'm forgetting his name. Who was more xenophobic than anyone else. And he withdrew Australia from this concept completely. China was, India was not too keen. China was growing. China was affronted by this whole story. And even US soft pedaled it. And this continued. The Quad 1 died by 2008-9. Global financial crisis came. When the global financial crisis hit, USA had to go to China to get tide over the problem. And China, I mean, that was the end of Quad 1. Then Quad 2 started in 2020. But that, you know, and Inzo Abe himself went out of power, came back, and all that. I mean, it's the ebb and flow of history. But in this entire story, the India Japan partnership kept growing. That's the important thing, right? And what are the key drivers of this? Everyone knows there's a lot of FDI from China, from Japan into India. But there were certain key drivers which you can identify. And that's what I thought I'll put across, formally. First, China's rise. Now, China's rise evoked shared concern between, India and Japan, because China was expanding its military, its maritime footprint in the Indo-Pacific. Regional stability. Naturally, China was upending the regional and the extra-regional stability, which was not to anyone's like. Shared values. And this is something in a society like Japan, which is modern but traditional. It's traditional modernity. Values mattered to them: democracy, economic liberation, international law, culture, tradition. And so these drove this relationship forward. Then there were huge areas of cooperation, whether it was defense and security, economic development, building of strategic infrastructure, people to people exchange. All these, continued to grow up. Then there was a strategic component to this, which drove this relationship forward. This is the beauty of this relationship we had with Japan. Irrespective of our equation with Russia, irrespective of our equation with China or USA, this relationship has grown. And vice versa. Okay. There was a requirement to balance China and India and Japan. Look, even now we are the fourth and the fifth largest economies. Matter of who's why, that's irrelevant, right? And Japan is one of the first countries which said, "Look, India will be the third largest country, economy shown." And it was, I remember last year or a year before last, the Japan Council of Economic Affairs, they said, "Look, it's a matter of time that India will overtake Japan." And it came right. In fact, it came 1 year before that. Everyone was saying the world view was that India will overtake Japan GDP wise by end of by 2030 or so. They said, no, it won't happen next year or so. And it happened. So Japanese are quite rooted in reality. And they want a balance. They want these. You just think, if USA, India, and Japan get together, China is completely outweighed in many respects. But we have not got together. That's a different story. And Trump has, in fact, broken that. That's also a different story. But let's continue with Japan. So you can balance China out, right? You can shape the Indo-Pacific. Both India and, if there was one country in this whole story which was understanding of India's concerns in the of the Indo-Pacific, it was Japan. Because Japan had its own, they have something called ODA, Overseas Development Assistance. They had it through that. Right? They had this whole story of shaping the Indo-Pacific through their ODA and with India. Just to give you an idea, year before last and last year, when Sri Lanka went down in terms of, the economic meltdown happened. Their loan had to be restructured, given to them, and all that. Japan helped India take the lead. Okay, and said, let India take the lead. Japan assisted us, and as a result, Sri Lanka was helped out by the IMF. India stood guarantee to Sri Lanka's turnaround, and China has got marginalized. So these things are there. Japan has been doing things quietly and supporting India where it required, and we've also been doing the same thing on the other side. We'll talk of it. And India and Japan have been consistently trying to counter the BRI. And now we have to tackle the Trump tariffs. I'll talk of this. This is important, which we need to understand. There's scope, whether it's bilateral or regional or through the medium of Quad, is huge. I just listed a few out: EV, space, defense, rare earths. Rare earths, if you want to become you need Japan. Railways, technology, digital, maritime, wherever you are. I mean, you have to understand that Japan is a technologically superpower. Not now, long back. So why are we not leveraging it? And here is a case where they're interested in doing so. Here is a case, just look at the Maruti model. Maruti is today part of our lives. There's no seams between India and Japan on Maruti or the Suzuki. Has it benefited them? Yes. Has it benefited us? Yes. So is there a case for us to go that way? Did we get technology out of it? Yes. Did we get jobs out of it? Yes. Did our economy go up because of the Maruti model? I call it the Maruti model. Yes. So is there a case for us to expand this into other areas? Yes. Why are we not doing it? Is there a scope to now expand it? Yes. And Africa. Everyone says Africa is the next battleground geopolitically. And we have India-Japan cooperation in Africa. China has entered Africa in a big way. There's no doubt about it. Okay, it's doing whatever it has to do. The only one who can counter China there is India in terms of the human outreach you have. Trust. Because the Africans trust India. Japan has the technology, it has the capability to invest. So can you have a partnership to invest into Africa and counter China there? Yes. And are we doing it? Yes. So if you're doing all this, is there a scope to increase it? Of course. I mean, we talk of Europe, you talk of Germany, you talk of France, but this is a more trusting relationship. This is our defense minister meeting the Japanese defense minister. Right? Why? India, Japan boost defense ties in bid for free and open Indo-Pacific to counter China. We're very clear. And this happened sometime last month. But let's look at Japan itself. What are we have to understand that Japan lives in a triangle between Russia, China, and Japan. This strategic triangle is age old. They have problems. Japan has invaded China, Japan has invaded Russia. They still have borders, maritime borders. Japan is close to, I won't say close, proximity to Russia, Kuril Islands, we have all that Vladivostok area. This confluence, this area, very important. This area. They have problems there. China and Russia keep doing exercises. They're increasing their cooperation there. That's of concern to Japan. So that dynamic is there. Must understand how far we can go and what we can't do with Japan. That's the reason. Then there's a dynamic between Korea, Japan, and China. For a long time, Korea and Japan were not on the same page. But these days, because of China, they're on coming to think. And this is underpinned by USA. After all, Japan is a complete ally of USA. So is South Korea. They're, and constitutionally, Japan can't raise offensive forces. It is a self-defense force. For many things, the Americans have to come in. So these are there. These are realities we have to understand, because that puts some bounds on the relationship which we can expect from Japan. But that also will change, and that change is happening from within Japan, of all places. And that change is what we need to recognize and leverage. We'll talk of it. Then there's this live triangle: Japan, Taiwan, Philippines against China. Of course, USA is also there in this bargain. But the latest entrant here is India. You know, just north of Taiwan, Japan has a whole lot of islands which are threatened by any action by China against Taiwan. And they've increased their military deployment in these islands. There's one island called Yonaguni, which is just about 200 kilometers away from Taiwan's northern. And if tomorrow the PLA tries to isolate or do whatever it wants against Taiwan, this island gets affected. And they have a maritime dispute with China. Like we have a border dispute with China, they also have a border dispute. The entire Senkakus or the Daewoo Islands, as China say, are disputed. Today, Japan is sitting on it. The Chinese want it back. Then there's this increasing partnership with Philippines, Japan, Philippines. We have also jumped into the fray, because if you see what Philippines has come out with, Philippines says there's no one else who's taken on, the Chinese Navy like Philippines. They have, there's no doubt. And this is there's no one who's come to our help except India, who did joint patrols with us in the South China Sea. This is today's statement. This is not even the US has come and done the joint patrol with us in disputed South China Sea except India. Now this is going to have a long-term effect. Why? I mean, this is the thing. What has Trump done? Now let me start introducing Trump. Trump ji has left these nations on their own. They said, yeah, you keep fighting with China. I'm going that side. I want oil, I want Russia, I want Ukraine, I want Middle East. I've fought with Middle East, I've captured Middle East completely. Just think Trump's way of looking at it. From the Mediterranean to the India-Pakistan border, that complete area is under now the influence of USA. Now, if you get the US, Ukraine-Russia war to stop, that influence over Europe is taken. Then he might look at Indo-Pacific or not. And if he has a deal with China, he's master of deal, so he's home and free. No, but he might be home and free. But what about these countries? These fellows? Whether it's, Philippines or Japan or Taiwan, what if they are left and out? Insecurity against China. So naturally, there is a scope for us to step in. That's the point, which we have to understand completely. So that gives opening. We'll talk of all this. Okay. You find articles like this. Why close trade partners China and Japan can't get along? China-Japan trade is huge. Huge. I'm not going to the figures, but they're huge. But they can't get along. They have problems. We know that. There are tensions in the sea, air, land. The whole relationship is uneasy. And China always takes care to ensure that they don't push Japan beyond a point. Because China is worried about Japan. They feel that if Japan amends its constitution to being from pacifist to active, it will affect China badly. Then China has to get entangled with Japan. But everyone will say, why are we talking of China when our problem is with Trump? The problem is with both. Now I'm focusing on, you know, that's the whole story. You kill two birds with one stone. Look at it from the Chinese perspective. This is global times. India Japan cooperation shouldn't aim to contain Beijing. They worried. If this bridge, which is shown here, is made and this jigsaw puzzle is put in place, China is worried. Okay. And then, like I said earlier, Japan has deployed rockets along that chain, Okinawa downwards, Ryaus, Senkakus, that chain, Senkaku chain. And Japan has told China, you do anything with Taiwan and get entangled with us. This is one of the restraining factors. Everyone talks of China entering Taiwan as if it's a free highway. The moment anything they try on Taiwan, they are in a war with Philippines and Japan. So they're gonna all these action angles come up. Now here comes Trump ji. He's done a deal with Japan, but there's a huge error in it. Now that error takes them to some 41-42% tariffs in certain key areas. Whether that's an error, whether it's a regrettable error or a deliberate error by Trump, Japan is not happy. So Japan is also Trump पीड़ित. जैसे बोलते हैं ना ट्रम्प पीड़ित एसोसिएशन बना. So Japan has got tremendous problems with the Trump tariffs, and Trump has not made any. He's not shied away from hitting Japan. Like he's not shied away from talking about India. He's also been brash with Japan. So use it. Sensibility hai nahi usme. He doesn't have culture and all that. He doesn't have any culture. The only bloody culture he's got is Epstein files. These are the articles which are coming out. Relations on the Rock survey finds 70% of Japanese see ties with USA fraying. So I've established the fact that China and Japan have historically bad ties. From Second World War onwards, Japan and US ties went into a partnership of a big kind. But now that's at a problem. Because Japan doesn't know if USA will be there if there's a problem with China. And that is one of the reasons why Japan is building up its relations with Taiwan, Philippines, India, and all that. So why shouldn't we use it? We'll be fools if not. Look at this. People say this is a survey in this article which came out in nippon.com. What is the sphere of strongest US influence in Japan? Economic, defense, ways of thinking, culture, music, IT, and all are very low. The fundamental relationship between Japan and USA was on defense. That we'll give you a defense umbrella. Now that is under question. The Japanese are not confident that the USA will be there for them when China के साथ कुछ हो गया तो. Okay. This is also what is the thinking in Japan. 41%. This is the green thing. People feel that China has to defend itself. They have to work to defend themselves. He says Only 24% says go ahead with China. I mean, sorry, go ahead with USA, enhance ties with USA. Earlier, this used to be 80, 90%. Now it's only 25%. Only one fourth of Japan feels that they should enhance ties with USA. 33% feel forge ties with non USA partners. This is what where India comes in. We are part of this. So there are 33% who feel Japan should increase their linkages, defense linkages for peace and security with non US partners, of which India is a big partner. And 41% feel we should defend ourselves, not depend on anyone. That's fair. Interestingly, 75% of Japanese don't want USA or don't trust in USA. Yeah, to 100%. We can't trust China, USA anymore. Anymore. A lot of people are saying, sir, you have flipped. Earlier you used to talk of Trump and now you are saying against Trump. Yeah, I flipped. I flipped because the way he's behaved. Even between a husband and wife, divorces take place. So between two countries who behave like this, why should we get after Trump? Raat gayi, baat gayi. Thank you. Look at this. What are the views on Japan US ties? This from within Japan. Only 28% say no change. Deteriorated somewhat 41%. Deteriorated considerably is 22%. Add this 70% of Japanese feel things are going down south with USA. So this is the reality. And this is the reality which we have to get in. I have not got anything with India, but I think it's time India and Japan started expanding their equation. We have a global partnership already. We have economic partnership. We have a partnership for Africa. We have a partnership for the Far East. But how do you increase this circle? You have a foundation. Okay. You want to diversify. Yes, some you can diversify to Japan. You might not be able to diversify more to Japan because Japan itself is a producing economy. It's a producing economy. It's not a consuming economy. But there are places where you can use the Japanese help to expand and diversify. Similarly, you want technology, get it from Japan. Why are we saying no technology from Japan? And Japan is one country over a longer term. They have given you technology. In this, Trump tariffs have upset Japanese apple cart in terms of prices, forecasts, yeah, wo. Some are happy, some are not happy. But the number of people who are unhappy are more. I'm getting these equations in because we understand where Japan stands today with USA and China. It stands on the same pedestal as India. Okay. This fellow Trump is unraveling this quad. There's right because he's got strains with India and Japan. So the squad itself is a question mark. Will he come next month? I don't know. I don't think he'll come. Japan has its own set of problems. Will it continue? How will its ties with South Korea go ahead? Now, Japan, South Korea, India is an interesting triangle we can develop. A lot of areas of cooperation. But we have to be clear about what are Japanese issues. The ties between Russia and Japan, and that's why I showed you that map earlier, are in a bad shape. Why? Because China and Russia have a friendship, and we have a friendship with Russia. So Russia is a sworn enemy of Japan or the Japanese. The way they view it, for us, it's a great friend. And then we are now trying to go with China. No, is that at cross purposes with Japan? So all these issues are there. You can't say that we just blindly get into this engagement with Japan. We must, and on that I've had no doubts. And I think my whole thrust is start looking at Japan more seriously because it gives you a lot of scope. After all, we are the fourth and the fifth largest economies, and we have a history of being together. Also, we must not forget that Japan is quite invested in USA. To expect it to do something against USA is foolish. I mean, after all, they have said will to please Trump. They put 300 400. They promised 300 400 billion investment. SoftBank has gone there and said SoftBank CEO. I'm forgetting his name. He said this. He made this announcement on the within a day or two of Trump becoming a president. They have that equation won't change. Might get degraded, but not change. But that gives you enough space. Gets space. India gets space to get closer to Japan, and we've always been close to Japan. Increase this cooperation. Japan Philippines. Japan Philippines. Their cooperation is increasing. India Philippines cooperation is increasing. So why don't we have a Japan India Philippines triangle? Or why don't you have a South Korea Japan Philippines India triangle or quadrilateral? You have equities in all these places. People must be thinking, what is this old man trying to get? Talk of Philippines and all. Small things, build on the small things. The big things will take care of themselves. And all these people, whether it's Vietnam is at this point of time, I'll discount Vietnam. But you look at Philippines or Japan or South Korea or Malaysia or Indonesia, they have problems with China, and they are also now facing severe problems with Trump. Of course, relatively, we are having the biggest problem. We need to do something. But this will spur us. So your outlets are there in Africa where you need Japan. Your outlets in East where you can do independently, but with Japan you can do more. Because a lot of other countries are okay with Japan. This is the issue of North Korea. That's also a prickly heat there. Because North Korea keeps acting like a maverick against Japan. And North Korea has an equation with Russia. And so Russia keeps, warning South Korea and Japan, of course, and US. So that issue also we have to be very careful. We have to be careful. This all comes under India, Russia. How can you tackle it? But if you can, so far you manage the balance between India, Russia, and India, US ties. Even this you can do. In fact, you might to do all this. You need to be geopolitically active. You can't just say no. I will be strategic autonomy. Doesn't mean sitting at home. It means going out, meeting people, stating what you want. Don't ride on US shoulders too much. I mean, that era has gone. We have to understand this fundamentally. The US flip is pretty serious. That strategic equation is dead. I'm using this word very clearly. Why is it dead? You'll still have engagement with US. But the trust is gone. The trust that USA will be with you is gone, especially after that flip to Pakistan. In fact, I have had a discussion with Sandeep Punithan on this. We've done a video. He's put it out on his channel. By end of the day, I'll be putting it out on my channel or Ghana Shot. Have a look at it. And we'll develop this. For a few days, we're going to talk of this. Even today, we're going to talk of the Munir flip, or rather, why has Pakistan flipped to USA and why USA has flipped to Pakistan in with Sri Iyer and hopefully with the other generals, Dushyant Singh and Rajiv Narayanan. Let's see who comes in. But I'll be there. Evening, 8 o'clock. So all these are there. All these stories are there. So it is in this context that we need to understand where we should go and how we should go. And yeah, there's another look at this thing which has come. He says, can India forge a three-way partnership with Japan, South Korea, and to counter China? This is what I said earlier. This is from South China Morning Post. The Chinese are worried. Is it time to get the US chaps also worried? Right? So some of these things we have to see very seriously. Okay. And then this business of Ukraine war. Japan is mulling sanctions on China. How will this business what Trump has said, we are supporting Russia, come in play? Now, certain of these issues will get sorted out tomorrow. We'll talk of it. But there's an issue which we have to understand is there. The flip side of the story, India and our Prime Minister and Putin have had a long chat about this whole thing. I'm sure we should share what we've spoken to with Japan. So the game is not over. The game is wide open. But we need to very seriously look at other options. And Quad is a danger today. If Quad collapses, so be it if Quad collapses. You need to have bilaterals, stronger bilaterals with Japan and Australia. As it is, Australia is coming forward. Okay. I'll talk of this. Australia is coming forward with rare earth technology. Get Japan into this game. Because Japan has already invested in rare earths in India. They have the technology. So it's not. We have to be alive to all this analysis. Karo ji. This is not rhetoric. Ye bolo, wo bolo, everything. Oh, Pakistan ko kato pito. Yeah, Pakistan chodo. Yeah. Let's talk of something useful. Okay, we can help. Our defense cooperation has got tremendous scope. India, Japan. That's the way I look at it. And mind you, I interacted with Japanese officers when I was doing the National Defense College course, and they come here regularly to do courses. Now you also have to understand. This is article I'm going to keep bringing back. This headline: South Korea's military has shrunk by 20% in 6 years as male population drops. This is only the arrowhead of the problem. The arrow consists of Japan, it consists of Taiwan, it consists of China. All these countries where they are demographically wilting will have a problem in future. It will have. Japan will have problem. Japan won't have the people to manage armed forces. Nor will China. But China has got mass, so they might be better off. But not Japan. So increasingly, Japan will have to look towards India for defense cooperation. And mind you, it is the defense forces. I go back, confluence of two seas. Famous speech by Shinzo Abe. Why did it come? Navy, Indian Navy. And then there are US pressures which will be there. Here it is South. US is pressurizing South Korea to pivot away from North Korea and all that. So the US pressures will continue on this. If our relationship goes strong, Japan, India, US won't like it. Trump won't like it. Current US regime won't like it. But that's okay. We can't be subservient to that fellow, that orange head baboon, right? So overall, there's a huge scope which is there with Japan. Can we use it? Can we leverage it? That's the challenge. In fact, I would like to again thank that young lady Sumedha Grover for having spurred me to analyze this in detail. I don't have to tell how much FDI we got from Japan. The whole world knows. Whole India knows. Every chap who's got a Maruti in some vague corner of India knows the value of India-Japan cooperation. Right? So I think these are the issues which I thought I'll discuss with all of you. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for listening to all this. If you liked it, press the like button and also subscribe to Gana Shot. I'll be grateful to you. Later in the day, I'll put out my video with Sandeep Punitan. Right. I will also, be in the evening. We'll be discussing some of these issues, not Japan, but generally Park America with Rajiv Narayanan and Dushyant if they join in, and Mr. Shreya here. And let's see tomorrow's Independence Day. Let's see what the Prime Minister says. Maybe after that, I'll give my analysis. Sometime we need to talk of what's going to happen. 2 things are happening: our Independence Day and the Trump Putin talk, which I might do it later in the night. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So with this, I'll take on a few questions. I'd like to thank a whole lot of you who joined me as new members. I'd also like to thank all members who are rejoining. It's not as if only new members come. All my members are as valuable to me as before. And especially those older members who stood by from the first membership. Please continue to rejoin and help the people, young kids, to get some education. Okay? Yeah, Jinka Mamu says, why doesn't US media ever tell the truth to its population? It's never wired to tell. The interest groups in USA are so much. They'll never tell that. That's the problem with the USA. And today, USA, the bipartisan views on many geopolitical issues and issues of grave national interest to USA have gone. And Trump has his own ideas. That's how it is. So in this, and Trump today, Mr. Trump is a known liar. He's a convicted felon. So what can you expect? And he's lived up to his reputation. That's the point. Earlier, one could neglect it, but now you can't. Thanks a lot, Kiran, for coming in. Good morning, Hans. Thanks, Himandas Kalani. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Geet concurs. Thanks a lot. Right. Will Ramki says, will China reaching out to India irk DJT? Yes, of course it is. I'll discuss this also. It's very funny the way things are going. We are in a very complex and a very fluid situation. Anand, good morning. Rohan, good morning. And yeah, Japan is one of the largest FDI investors in India. Bullet train project, finance them at very. I agree with you, Kamath. There's no doubt. All this here, I didn't get into the specifics, but they're there. PM is going to Japan after SCO. Modi, yeah, very important point. 29th till 30th, whenever August, 31st, whenever that SCO is. So he goes to SCO, immediately goes to Japan. So, I mean, obviously, the equation between Japan and India is good. That has to be taken forward. I have no doubt what's happening. But I thought I'll put it across to you what's the importance of all this. Maybe we'll talk of this later after the visit. Okay. India has people like you to warn us, but US think tank, yeah, well, that is their thing. I don't think so. I think there are enough people in USA also who are making a point. But the US is going through a phase where it has lost, I think, its ability to think through a problem at strategic level. There are a lot of people who say, why are we ditching India? I mean, there's no logic. Why are we going back to Pakistan? The same Pakistan which stabbed America in its back in Afghanistan. That's how it is. Uh, Hans, thanks a lot for gifting this membership. I don't know who's the lucky guy who's got this, but whoever has got it, I would request continue with your membership. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mrs. Class. I saw your thing yesterday that you don't understand Hindi. I'm sorry, but once or twice in a week I do Hindi shows and they're quite good, right? I'm trying to improve my Hindi. So why don't you also join me and we'll improve our Hindi together. Arthur says, "Good morning, Shankar Garu. Thanks a lot." Yeah, and then great to hear from you. Really great analysis. Yeah, we need. I'm not. It's not a great analysis. I just put some facts together and given a view. I mean, we have to understand where we are. That's my logic. Dr. Homi's desire to develop nuclear weapons in 1945, which was opposed by Nehru, America exploited India's. Yeah, all this is known him and thus. Yeah, let me see. Yes, bank will have a Japanese bank as yeah. I mean, our connect is deep. That's the point. What you're only reinforcing what I'm saying. You're yeah. Looking forward to your discussion with Professor John and Brigadier Arun after. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do it somewhere on Monday, Tuesday. We'll do it. Right. I'll talk about it. And good morning and fellow viewers. Thanks a lot, Ladybird Haru. Uh, yeah, the Philippines foreign minister was saying yesterday that the Indian Navy is the only one which had the guts to go where it. The actual word he used was it's only the Indian Navy which had the balls to do what it had to do. Look, many times we underestimate ourselves. We don't know what our own strength is, what our capabilities are. Can we increase the GCC bilateral trade further? Yeah, we will. The IMEC is all about GCC and India. It will go up. Look, India will continue all these steps. Morgan Stanley, all those fellows are saying Trump tariffs or no tariffs, India's growth is going to continue because India is not a trading nation. India is a consuming nation. And you do manufacturing even a little more, you'll grow. I have no doubt about India. They might have a few problems like Trump and all. Some people will suffer. When these things happen, unfortunately, someone will suffer. There's no guarantee that all my farmers should be happy ever after. Maybe it will force our farmers to also modernize. Maybe they'll get into better cooperatives. Why should you not have cooperatives in farming? When you have cooperatives for sugar cane, you have cooperatives for milk. Why not cooperatives for grain, rice, vegetables? Certain you can have. Maybe we will, and these cooperatives have proven good for us over a period of years. If we can learn anything from civic, it is civic sense. From Japan, it is civic sense and urban planning. Very, very important. Civic sense, like urinating on walls and spitting and traffic discipline and all that. थोड़ा discipline चाहिए इंडिया में. Discipline come uh, our sense of discipline, our sense of doing things is poor. Let's face facts. Unhygienic. Public hygiene is lacking. We need to do more. MK Sundaram, Ram Ram. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Amitesh saying sahi bol rahe hain, sir. Thanks a lot. Right. Why is China against us? We have been good. Well, we all know why China is against us. They see that border problem. Hey, and if today All our progress is at China's expense to a large extent. And China's future is not so great. After all, the demography is going on. That's an inevitability. So China can't be great, whereas India can be. That's one of the problems. Yeah, Russia, Israel, Japan, South Korea, and some other countries have great respect and interest. I agree with you. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, Japan used to be so strong technologically and economically. Is there any reason apart from demography they could not continue? Thanks. Plaza Act. This is Plaza Act. America devalued its dollar overnight and their business collapsed and all that. And that got conflated with the demographic start of the demographic decline. Done. So I have to now get back to you people, which I've been trying to do. Unfortunately, Trump has upset us. Japanification of China. What's happening? I mean, I'll do it because if you understand Japanification, how Japan is now getting out of it, then you'll understand China how it will get in. It's going in actually, and China can't come out. We'll talk of it, which is very important. Yeah, Japan began its own fighter platform, which is dropped. It's engaged in, yeah. So it wants to coordinate with India using a XF9 one engine confusion. I think so. I think we should now get strategic clarity. If you get involved with Japan, I think it's the best because the kind of aircraft you need and the help technology you need is huge, with which will give Japan a value and we will get value out of it. I think that's why I said it's very important that we have good relation. We have the scope with Japan is huge. Yeah, Amitesh, sir, I have watched your podcast with Jakra and Sandeep ji. It was amazing. Thanks a lot. I'll put it on Gunner Shorts shortly. The congruence of the three triangles is what is a quagmire. I agree with you. Will DJT be in peace? No, I don't think so. Okay. Very nice to see the Gunner Short channel. Thanks a lot, Palinichami, for joining in. So glad. Then de-dollarization in full swing. You said it's not possible, and that's why I stopped following you. You support USA, where there are racist Indians. You might have. Oh no, 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 no. I think you got it all wrong. I think you're completely wrong, Fabian. Whether you stop following me or not, it doesn't matter. But don't get the fundamentals wrong. De-dollarization is not happening. I still maintain it is not because of my own like. There is no alternative to de-dollarization or to dollar. International trade has to be in dollar. Certain amount of diversification away from the dollar will happen, but de-dollarization, just forget it. Okay. The fact that India USA strategic relationship is going through a problem is a given now. The fact that there are races there is also given. It's known. I don't have family there. Don't worry. I'm not wedded to USA. In fact, I have my son who studied there, working there. He'll come back. On that, I have no doubts. Right? But the fact is that you can't wish USA away. You might not like it, but you can't wish it away. The equities interests between India and USA are very deep. You might have lost trust, but the relationship is still there. You have to maintain the relationship, especially if you're going to grow up the value chain. Why Japan amending its pacifist constitution a problem for China? Because they'll become aggressive. Then they can develop offensive forces. If Japan develops offensive forces, China is in a big problem. A complete strategic calculation and defense calculation of China will go for a toss. Why China is rejecting the NVIDIA chip? It'll have a backdoor. That's the worry. Very simple. Very simple. Yeah, Pavan says there's a backdoor. That's it. Thank you, General Shankar, for doing this episode. If there's an email ID, I'd like to share my inputs with you regarding Europe. Yeah, Kunal, please do that. There's an email ID as part of Ganashort channel. Give it to that. I keep seeing all your thing. Ramchandran, a new BJP alliance is cooking in East Asia, Bharat, Japan, Philippines, Aussies, ASEAN. Yeah, correct. They'll all join. No, we have a good equation with Australia also. Look, one of the good things about Trump is driving many equations which never existed. They were on the periphery of existence together. Whatever Trump is doing, the only thing is USA will lose because he's driving everyone away from USA. And once suppose I develop a good equation with Australia, Japan, South Korea, and Philippines, why will they let go and why will I let go? Yeah, Yogesh, thanks a lot. As per Yogesh, please do click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends. USA sending mixed signals. I'll talk of India-US relations next week after Monday, Tuesday. We can take rare earth minerals technology. Yes, I've spoken of it earlier. Did you do training exercises with Japan? No, I didn't. But I've interacted with their officers. And they would be interested in defense equipment. There's no doubt. There's no doubt on that. See, this is a thing which we have not exploited fully. It's time we started doing so. Why can't we collaborate with Japan for defense? We must. We must. Japan and India are more in common than Russia and India, in my opinion. Yes, I agree. I'm glad that all of you are talking of all what I'm saying. Uh, it is close to India, but more. We understand. But Trump is doing the help for us. Let's use it. We need to stop talking and do R&D. I agree with you there also. See, this is a crisis. Every crisis, people will respond. I hope people will respond now. Government should expand MEA, more diplomats in Indonesia. Yeah, I completely agree with you. You people are all saying what I'm trying to be saying. Sayato Vision, Jai Bharat. Yeah, Japan is already investing heavily in India, including manufacturing and planning to import population. How will it overcome overpressure, US pressure, and it has Oh, I think it's not much. That Japan knows how to handle. Right? It's their headache. Let them handle. And you see the popular opinion in Japan. It's going against USA. They feel they have to look after their own. The day they do that, then a lot of equations will change. Yeah, India, Brazil, India, Indonesia. Subramaniam, India, Indonesia, I've done. I've done with the ambassador Gurjeet Singh, who was an ambassador to Indonesia. India, Brazil, I'll do. Because it's going to happen. So we have all these coming up. Have you considered inviting a Japanese defense expert? Okay, now let me put it across to you. I have. In fact, let me put it. Japanese have come to me. I've done a few shows for Japan. Right, and last year. So they have asked me about China and its army and all that. I'll get back in touch and I'll do that. Yeah, we should be patient and let cards fall the way they may and decide then. Yeah, as they fall, start acting. That's the important thing. Anjali, thanks a lot joining in. Why is Russian army moving so slow? Is it a tactic? Does it minimize casualties? I don't want to talk of this. We'll talk of it some other day. We're going to talk of Ukraine. As always, your analysis is spot on. Thanks a lot. Uh, what can be done to improve defense and educational cooperation between Japan and India? Looks like it's low in actions. Compared to after Shinzo Abe, Japan wants to militarize Quad. Let's wait. I think let the Prime Minister go there. I'm sure the Prime Minister has this in mind. After Japan, after China is going to Japan, that's an important visit. Morning, sir. Just wanted to know where relations were not built in past and why will it happen now? These countries did not approach us earlier. Thanks. I don't agree with you. If you see uh, early 90s to now, our equation with Japan has changed. Our equation with Korea has changed. That's why you find Hyundai. I've seen the change with Korea. I've been to Korea. I've not been to Japan, but Korea I have been a couple of times. It's changed. Taiwan I have changed because I interact with the Taiwan consulate here. A lot of change is happening. The alignment has to be better. At this point of time, some of these alignments are not in the right direction. So I think I've also had a great interaction with the Japanese consulate here, the consul, the Japanese consular officer, the senior most consul, the consul general. I've had an interaction in Chennai. Oh, they're very. You talk with them, and I went and had lunch with them. That was the first time I had sake. I thought we had a fantastic conversation, frank and free, and they are looking forward to increasing. That's the thing. I'm now talking what I've been doing. Thanks a lot, Malika. You've been a great source of strength to keep encouraging me. My worry is that Japan itself is almost a vassal of US, as evidenced by recent trade deal. They can't even arm themselves fully. I agree, but you see the feeling within Japan. So there is a change happening, and we should be smart to sense this change. Okay. Just as Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose visited Japan and Germany to help Indian liberation, could modern Indian look again to Germany? Yeah, we can. We are doing it. Why not? We are doing it already. Can you explain your story from Marut to Miraj? I'll do it separately, right? I'll do the thing separately. Uh, I'll have to go into a little detail to do this, right? I'll do that. One rating agency has reaffirmed the point that companies come to invest in India for India's consumption and less for exports. Tariff is going to do. Yeah, it will not. I agree with you. That's what. Yeah, given some incentives to work with China, where does India leave vis-a-vis Quad? I don't think. Let's see. We'll have to see where is Quad. Trump has virtually destroyed Quad. Why should we bother about Quad when the main actor in the Quad is trying to destroy us? So we just start looking beyond. There are things which we can and must do with China. There are things which we must not do with China. We'll discuss this separately. I'm waiting for our Prime Minister to go there. Some contours of the thing will come and then we'll talk. Yeah, I've heard a lot of your podcasts on Tibet. Now you recommend giving what to exercise. Look, I'm not saying give one and a half of exercise into China. I'm not saying so. Please get that clear. I'm talking of a hypothetical political solution. At some point of time, we need a solution. If we have pushed into a corner, China has pushed into a corner, and if that is the solution, don't give him half of Aksai Chin. Just give him a access through Aksai Chin for that road, that part, along the Kunluns. It's just small sliver. And if that resolves our issue, why not? You have to rethink. You have to be realistic. You have to be realistic. That's an option. I'm at no point of saying that. Uh, and the other major problem, what I'm saying only is that can you trust China? You can't. So I'm contradicting myself. I have no problem. Yeah. What has Japan become a superpower in world? No, don't take such extreme views. Take what is there at this point of time and deal with it. How about freeing Tibet? We have an opportunity. In fact, that's a leverage you have. That's a leverage you have to come to an equation with China. I mean, the options with China are huge. You can do a boundary deal, you can do a deal on Tibet, you can instigate Tibet. It's all matter of plus minuses how you evaluate and take it forward. Okay? Okay. So I think we've done for the day. Most of the questions I've patiently answered and I've enjoyed myself because answering your questions and your questions give me value of thinking. With this, for today, morning session, we are okay. We'll talk of the rest later in the day. Definitely, my discussion with Sandeep Punithan will come up sometime during the day. And evening, get back to the three good generals discuss. Podcast. We'll discuss interesting issues. Till then, have a great day. Jai Hind to all of you.